All right. Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. Finally live and recording.
You can see us, you can hear us.
You can see us and hear us. All right, Aaron, let's hear what are we doing today?
Today, for our first video episode, we are actually doing a pest guest. So we have today Cristian Cervantes out of Illinois. He is a route manager, owner, operator. He's been in the industry for about 3.5 years, goes through a mix of things, rodents, cockroaches. We'll dive a little bit more into his journey and his story. Cristian, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been listening to you guys for God knows how long already, and I'm almost caught up. I'm still like halfway through, almost there.
Oh man, so you suffered through the first episodes. That's good.
I'm like, I'm past all the COVID stuff. I'm like a year past all the COVID stuff. So it's, I mean, I listen to you guys like every day, low key. So
awesome, man. Thank you so much for the support. That's awesome.
For sure.
All right, Matt. Well, I want to jump in. I always ask this. Everybody that I always ask, it's always a little bit different, but how did you get into pest control? What started it?
So, when I was 21, I was looking for jobs and I stumbled across a ad on Craigslist that said like, oh, pest control tech wanted, like pretty good salary. And I was reading all up on it. And what stopped me in my tracks there, which I should have just like, went for it. But what stopped me in my tracks there was like, oh, you have to be able to get into attics and get into crawl spaces. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. So I ended up actually driving a truck for like 5 years until my father-in-law one day told me like, hey man, we want to start a pest control company and it's like this and like that. And he kind of walked me through it. And I was like, man, I think that sounds interesting. I might want to do that. So I got a job as a pest control tech. I'm sorry, I'm skipping a little bit. With him, I worked maybe like a year until I was able to get my license and certificate. And then I got a job at a different pest control company so I can just gain a little bit more experience hands-on. Because with my father-in-law, we were working, but it would be like 1 day a week and it would be like one stop a week. So it wasn't really like, doing this every day type of stuff. So I got a job to do pest control. They picked me up pretty quick since I was already licensed, and it was kind of embarrassing because I had the license, but I didn't have like that much experience.
Yeah.
But it all came with time. I started doing pest control. I worked with the company for about 2 more years after that. And then finally we're like, you know what, we're going to go into this business hands-on, started selling door to door and, signing up for like those leads, the lead websites and stuff. Some of them were horrible. Some of them were pretty good.
Yep.
And that's how I got in, man. It took a little bit of time and I should have jumped on it when I first saw that ad when I was 21, but I didn't know that the industry was going to be so awesome. Like as soon as I started doing it a little bit, I like kind of fell in love with it. I loved it. I love learning about it. And it was just really good for me.
Yeah. What do you like most about it?
I am like a huge problem solver.
Okay.
So I think that's what I like the most is like going in and actually like helping people. Also the gratitude you get from people, like, people have been having mice for years and they actually think it's a part of life. Like everyone has mice in their house and that's not how it's supposed to be. Everyone has rats in their house. That's not really how it's supposed to be. So you go there and within like a couple weeks, you're pretty much like, they have no more mice, no more rats in their house. And they're like, man, I didn't even know that was possible. So that's a huge thing. Being a problem solver and like really using your mind and your hands to like figure out these problems.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I do
Definitely.
enjoy that a lot. So are you still doing business? Are you in business with your father-in-law? Is that what you said?
Yes,
Okay.
father-in-law and with my wife.
Okay, awesome. So you guys are running. Is he running a route as well?
No, not right now. Right
Okay.
now, it's just me and her. They're kind of retired.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So
Yeah.
you kind of took over, you're taking it on and kind of moving through everything.
Right.
How
Right.
how long have you been open and running?
Open and running. I say like a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
A year and a half. So we're pretty new. We're still building up. We are starting to have work like every single day constantly now, which is awesome.
Hmm.
But we still have so much more room to grow.
Yeah. That's something that I always tell, anyone I'm talking to about the industry is they don't realize, on a monthly basis, depending on what you're doing, if you have monthly customers, you can have 250 plus. If they're every 60 days, you can have 500 quarterly, up to 750 customers with one guy. So it's not
Yeah.
even multiple people. So you can take on really a lot before you'll need somebody, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. We were able to buy another truck here, so hopefully we have that one rolling in the next couple months.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good for you. So you're looking for someone to hire on.
Yeah, in the next couple weeks we will have to. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Good. Yeah. That's awesome. That's always a good thing as you start to grow, you start to add on those headaches.
Yep, that's right.
So let me ask, so with hiring on your first person, are you looking inward as in family, friends, or are you looking for someone that you don't know?
I would like to hire someone I know. I have a couple of brothers, um, but one of my brothers, like he said, you have to have a stomach for that. He can't handle bugs. So I totally get that because it is kind of a tough job, and you do kind of have to get used to it. Um, my other brother's in the flooring industry, so he's doing really good over there. I doubt he'll want to come, but I have this guy in mind that I used to work with. That he was a good tech, um, and I still keep in touch with him. I talk to him every now and then, and he's not doing pest control right now, but I am kind of looking to bring him on soon.
Gotcha. Okay. What would
Yeah,
you,
hopefully not someone random.
yeah. What advice would you give him, Aaron?
For hiring on family.
Hiring, yeah, there you go. Hiring on family.
I mean, you already know what you're getting yourself into. So I don't ever know if we talked about this, but on the business side, aside from the podcast side, we actually hired on my younger brother as a route technician. And, navigating that has been definitely something new for me. We have to turn that switch on and off between brother to brother and supervisor to route technician. Sometimes those lines did get blurred at first. But I mean, I understand your point though, Cristian, on wanting to bring on somebody that somebody that you feel like you can have in your corner, somebody that you can vouch for and they can vouch for you. But you obviously know them a lot better than everybody else. So I think, I'm just speaking from the experience. I think what Daniel and I talked about as we were kind of going through the training process, it's just constantly reminding like, hey, we have to make sure that the right people are in the right place. And if he's the right person, that's great. And if not, that's okay. And I have to be okay with that. So
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. If you bring them on, understand they are going to screw up and it's not personal.
For sure. Would you guys rather hire like non-family?
I never hired on family. So I actually did. I offered my brother a job, but he had a pretty good job and there's no way I could afford him. So not where we sit. In the future, I would love to get him on with what he knows and the skill sets he has on the financial side. He would be a perfect fit. But in my opinion, if you lay everything out from the beginning, hey, look, I'm your boss. I'm not your friend. Okay. We're still friends, but on the clock, I'm your boss. This is how it's going to work. This is no hard feelings. I'm going to get upset. You're going to get upset. That communication is going to be okay, right? We have to be able to get pissed off at each other. If we can do that and get over it, we're 10 times better off. So just understand that that's going to happen. If you clear all that up from the beginning, I don't see why it wouldn't work out or be a very good thing, but it has to be very clear. So many people are scared of confrontation or scared of bringing up those points prior, but that has to be done if you want it to be good. If not, it could ruin a relationship. But understand that. Know that getting in. You're going to bring someone on. You may fire them, and you may have to. And so that could ruin that relationship. And you can't keep on, if you want to grow, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to grow, one of the questions you're going to have to constantly ask yourself is, who do I need and who do I need to get rid of? And that person may be one of those people that you need to get rid of.
For sure. Yeah, definitely understand that one.
Yeah. So it's some stuff that we don't think about. You know, you get into business, you start a company, you don't think about those difficult situations and those difficult things that can come up. It's, you know, I want to hire someone, and I know why you said it. It's because it's trust, right? You want to be able to trust someone in a vehicle, because if they wreck that vehicle or someone you don't know wrecks that vehicle, that destroys you. You know, that's going to hurt a lot. Especially starting off. The cash flow isn't a massive amount. The bank account isn't huge. So you have a loss like that could really tank the company. And so assuming that a family member is going to be that way, you have to start off pretty hard on them and then slowly ease up as time goes on. Because if you're just buddy from the get-go, they may take advantage of you, and it's going to be some really personal feelings that get involved. And so it can be, you know, I've even had conversations with Aaron about this, because he comes in, he's like, dude, my brother. And it's, hey, calm down. It's business. Don't take it personal. Once you guys clock off, it's done, you know, and we've worked on that, and we've kind of seen that he's actually been really, really good about it. But there has been times where he's done some stupid stuff and he gets worked up, and it's like, hey, we're good. You know, we're okay. I'm just as frustrated as he is, but he's not my brother. So I could be pissed off the clock and on the clock. You know, he has to be able to turn that off once 5 o'clock hits. It's done. We clocked out, dude. We're friends now. We're brothers again. You know, we don't have to talk about business, what you did today, whatever, dude. We're not talking about it. But the second we clock back in tomorrow, I'm reaming your ass, right? This is what's going to happen, because, you know, but you have to learn how to turn that on and off, or it can get pretty tough. For sure. Yeah, man. I know you did have some things you did want to talk about. And one of those was kind of the rules and regulations in Illinois.
Yeah. I always see that you guys are like really strict over there in California. Our rules are like not that bad. I feel like there's a lot of products that I'm always looking at, and it always says like not for sale or distribution in California, and I'm like, man, California must have a tough time doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, over here, I mean, like, especially, I saw a video one time of this guy doing some pest control, and he said he was from like the San Diego area, and I guess he said he was only allowed to spray the soil or something. He wasn't allowed to spray the house. And
okay.
I wasn't sure if that was true, but that's kind of I don't know if that has like any good purpose if you don't spray like the base of the house, you know?
Well, so in California, we are very strict. There's a few things that people have to realize. So you have there's a structural pest control board, and then you have your ag department. Okay. They're very much intertwined, but also very separate at the same time. Okay. As weird and as dumb as it sounds, but that's government, right? They just create weird things that don't make much sense. So you have your structural pest control board licensing department. That is for structures. That's it. So you have your operator's license, you have your branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, and applicator. Those people are allowed to spray a structure. That's it. They're not allowed to spray the lawn. So they can go out 3 feet if I'm right. I could be wrong on that. It's either 1 to 3 feet away from the foundation. That's it. If you have this structural pest control board license, okay? Then on the other hand, you have your QAL license, okay? That's a qualified applicator license, I think is what it's called. And there's a QAC, and there's a few other ones there that California has under the ag department side. So the guy that you were watching had a QAL or a QAC. That is to spray lawns. That is, you can only spray up to 3 feet or somewhere around there, 1 to 3 feet, up to a home. Now you can have dual licensing. So I have dual licensing. So I have my operator's license. I have my QAL license. So I'm allowed to spray the structure and the lawn. That guy you were watching was only allowed to spray the lawn. Now, this is where it gets even more confusing, especially if it's a lot simpler in your state. The QAL, under that license, you have categories from A to J, I think, or K. Anyway, a whole list. So you have category A, B, C, D, E, F. Every category is different. So your category A is going to be specific to certain things. Your category B is going to be specific to other things. There's actually a category for just soil treatments. So the guy you may have been watching was a category I or J or something like that, and he was doing a soil treatment. There's sewer line treatments. There's waterway treatments. There's right-of-way treatments. There's, it gets so in-depth on each little thing that you can do and you're allowed to do. So that's probably what you were seeing. It wasn't that he couldn't spray the structure. He couldn't because of his licensing, but in general, yes, we can.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. I mean, we have something similar. Like we're licensed with the Department of Public Health, which is like the structural pest control, and then you get your restricted use, which is like I have the insects and rodents, but you can go up to termites. I plan to get my termite one. I was looking into that termite Terry book. Eventually, I'll be able to get it, but and then you could just go up to like birds and other type of stuff. But it's not that many categories. I think it's only like 6 more categories, not up to J. But
yeah, we have a ton. Yeah.
And then we also have like the Department of Agriculture. I'm just gonna plug in my phone real quick
to the
good. Charger. But we have the Department of Agriculture, which allows us to, which would be the ag department for you guys, right?
Yes.
That would allow us to spray the lawns as well, and we use that for like mosquito treatments and that fun stuff. So, pest control, and you don't have the agriculture license, you're not allowed to spray the like the bushes and shrubs that are not immediately on the structure, unless there's like that says like if there's a tech that's licensed within 45-minute radius of you, then you are allowed to. In case anything happens, you call this guy and he'll be able to be there in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
But if not, then you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, that's okay. Interesting differences that you get, in different states and what you can do. Just like an applicator can run underneath an operator's license, but they're not allowed to identify a pest or to create their own pest control treatment. essentially. So if you can't identify, you can't treat with certain products. So you'd have to call and say, hey, what product can I use?
Oh wow, yeah. I'm not sure if there's a law against that. I know you guys have mentioned that a lot recently. Well, in the recent ones that I've heard, that you have to be licensed to identify, and I don't think you have to be licensed to identify here. I think you just kind of identify and treat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, no one does it here. I mean, it's a law that they've created, but no one's going to follow it. I mean, and how do you control everybody out in the field? You can't. So a guy who's like, duh, that's an ant. I grew up with these things, like I know what it is. I don't know the specific ant type, but I know it's an ant, right? So guys are just going to do their own thing, and there's not much we can do other than say, you can't do that, but no one cares. The ag department's not going to find them. And of course, guys aren't going to say anything when the ag department's there. So ag department, the rules and regs that they've created here, some of them kind of make sense. Others are really dumb and there's no way to control it.
For sure.
I mean, even your 45-minute rule, how would they be able to know if a guy's 45 minutes away?
Exactly.
Yeah, 45 minutes here. I mean, even like 45 minutes in the city of Chicago would be something like 4 miles. You know what I mean? Whether over here where I'm actually working right now, 45 minutes is like 40 miles.
Exactly.
So yeah, how are they going to be able to tell?
No, and you really wouldn't, and it depends on traffic. So what, a guy sitting there pinging everybody, seeing how far their distance is? No way. It's unlikely, but it makes them happy, I guess. We checked that box. We're being safe.
Right.
Yeah. So the other thing that you said, you had some good stories being out in the field so far.
Yeah, I've oh man, where do I start?
Let's see. Let's start with some cockroaches, because you said you're the cockroach whisperer.
I was like when I was relatively newer at the company I had started working for, I had never really done a cockroach job. So I went in there with like basic, like super basic knowledge, like, oh yeah, that's an ant, drop some bait there. Figure out where they're coming in on the outside and, just kind of like take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually did a roach job. So my first actual roach job was in a restaurant, and it was like a breakfast place. And this breakfast place that I went to, man, like I have never had cockroaches in my life. I've had cockroaches like one time in an apartment that I moved into.
Yeah.
But it was like, one here, one there. Everyone says that, right? But I didn't actually see that many at one time until I went to this place, and this guy was quitting and I was taking over his route. And he's like, yeah, this place is really bad and this and that. I've been coming here for like I'm sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but
yeah, you already did it. It doesn't matter now.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
He's like, I've been coming here for years, and it's still really bad. And he wasn't really doing much. All he was doing was like spraying Gentrol.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys have that Gentrol. He was just the IGR. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all he was doing. No dusting, no insecticide, no real in-depth investigation to where they're like hanging out, where they're coming from, where they're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would like pull out these glue boards that he left, and there were like tons of roaches in there. He'll grab it and look inside of it, and there'll be roaches falling out of the glue board because they're just, there's no more adhesive for them. And I'm like, dude, that is insane. Like, how are we ever going to like get control over this? I don't understand. And that day that we went there was his last day going. So it was like, here you go. And did my best for like the first 2 months, and there was a huge reduction in the activity going. And the only reason was because my father-in-law was actually telling me like, yeah, well, you have to like look in all the cracks that you can find. You have to like be removing outlets. You have to be pulling stuff out. You have to, you really get in there, get down and dirty to see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I started doing. I remember I would pull out these these guys didn't have tools, so I had to go buy some like screwdrivers or something like that, like a little pack to like pull out the refrigerator and like take off the cap to the motor.
Yeah.
And once you took off the cap to the motor, dude, like even the people working there started freaking out. They're like, they didn't know what to do. They started kind of like trying to step on them. And I'm like, nope, just let them go. Just let them go. It's fine. It's fine. You guys go away.
Yeah.
God.
And yeah, it was crazy. I even got to the point where we had like a 90% control, and I couldn't figure out where the rest of them were. So I started putting down so many glue boards, like everywhere, glue boards. And I narrowed them down to the coffee machines and the soda machines. They were inside the soda and coffee machines. I had to unbuild these machines and like bait in the machines, because you're not really allowed to like spray in there or anything like that. So I just dropped a little bit of bait in there, and eventually we were able to get control. But man, that was nasty. And all it took was a little bit of inspection. You know what I mean? Like slow down. You got a little bit of time. See where they're actually going, where they're actually hanging out. Because if you're just going and like you say, spraying and praying, you're gonna be coming here for the rest of your life, and you're not gonna get control of this place.
Oh yeah.
And that restaurant was like actually a big chain that was like starting here in the area, and we went to another one. They had sent me with this other guy that had been at the company for like 5 years, and same thing. He was not really doing an inspection. He was just going in there and spraying. And he was like, yeah, we've been coming here for a while and we haven't been able to get control of it. And I went there and I pulled out a fridge, like one of those little milk refrigerators, and for sure a ton of them down there. And not only that, but like there was that refrigerator was a couple tables away from like where the stove was. And in the restaurants they have that stainless steel cover in the back, kind of where the vents are to vent everything out. Well, behind there, the caulking had cracked a significant amount. So of course I get my flashlight and I'm like looking up there, and there's at least 1,000 roaches up there, like just kind of hanging out.
Oh,
and I tell the dude, I'm like, hey man, have you looked up here? And he's like, no, what's up there? I'm like, go look. And he looks and he's like, oh my goodness, man, I don't know if you know what you just found. I'm like, yeah, I think I do. I think you don't.
Yeah, for real.
And it was just like things like that. Like you really have to get in there and actually see where they are. Like these guys are scared to get on their knees. Like, I'm not sure why, but it's part of the job, dude. You gotta get down there. You gotta see where they're coming from. If a roach gets on you, then tough luck. Shake it off before you get into the car. But man, it was fun.
Oh yeah, no, there's and that's good. That's the start of many that you're gonna run into. Aaron, go ahead. Let's hear one of yours. A great cockroach story.
Oh, I think the most fresh one off the top is walking into a unit, and because me pushing the door in, it shook them off of the door threshold onto me. The one up the hill. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it was not even concentrated to your normal areas. It was carpets,
just everywhere,
hallway closets, everywhere, top to bottom.
Oh man.
But no, I mean, I'm sure we have tons of these to go over, but.
Oh yeah. No, the cockroach ones are always fun, especially when you start hitting those areas and they just start pouring out. There's some videos I think on YouTube and social media that kind of go around. There's just not enough to actually give it justice. When you're in it, you don't like the video you watch doesn't actually even tell anything.
It's not the same.
No, like I have one where there was a backpack that fell behind a refrigerator in an apartment complex, and this place was infested. And so I actually went behind, I like pulled the refrigerator out and I stuck my wand back there and I moved the backpack and they just scattered. And it was a little kid's backpack. So who knows how long, it was back there, but it was just covered in roach feces. It was bad. That was a bad one. Not the worst I've seen, but that was a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some good ones out there.
I just recently had one where one of the big companies was working on this man's house, and of course they couldn't get control. So he called us out, and we were out there, and like I always move things, right? I always have to see what's under everything, and this guy had like his carton of cigarettes on this. I guess it's like a little cabinet that was next to his refrigerator, and he had a bunch of cards next to his cigarettes. And I went up there and I moved all that, man. Like they were in his cigarettes, and I'm sure he was getting ready to go smoke. So I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, and I always get the question from office staff. They always ask, like, how do people live like that? And it's like, well, they're used to it, right? I mean, I had it where I was in it was an apartment complex, and I think they were a Tongan family or from Hawaii or somewhere like that, and they were all living together. And I went and pulled off, it was a pot because I was getting ready, and they just had like rice and everything. And so I went to go move it because I'm ready to spray, and I popped the top on it, and there's just roaches inside the rice.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, oh no. And
it's just a little extra salt,
I guess a little extra protein, salt, something in there. So, I mean, even if you got all the roaches out, they still, they did their business in there. I mean, it's not like they're clean.
Yeah.
So now you got a bunch of roach feces and whatever else they're going to leave behind. Oof. Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen that where you're just like, it's weird. Just people don't care. Bed bugs, same thing. I've been in a place, there's bed bugs in this guy's shoes. I mean, they were literally everywhere. The one that you went to.
Yep.
And there was another one I went to before you were here. Same thing. And just oblivious to the world. Like, I don't have bed bugs. I'm like, I can see them on your nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're right there. And he's like, no.
That's a crime scene.
Yeah, like, I'm good. So there's
and then we have we have those customers that call us like, hey, we got bed bugs. All right, you go out there and start treating for bed bugs, and then there's roaches crawling up the walls. Like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we're just doing bed bugs.
Yeah, we got a couple things here. No, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's a lot of learning to do for new guys. But I want to kind of take it back to you and the business, because there's a lot of people that are starting their business that listen to the podcast. What is some advice that you would give from what you've learned from day one to now day year and a half that you would change or that you would have loved to know prior?
Get some walking shoes for sure. That's like a big one because you are going to be working. I thought I was like a bad guy, big, bad, tough guy, and I would go door to door with my boots. But after, man, like, you have to be ready to work. I was knocking doors for like 10 hours a day. I was walking like 10 miles a day, maybe. You get your steps in. And after that, after you're walking with boots, dude, like you're going home and your feet, you're destroyed. Mm-hmm. Get some walking shoes and, get out there. Don't be afraid to talk to people as well. Like, I read a book once that said, like when you're in the store and there's someone next to you, like say hi, tell them something, let them know like, oh yeah, it's a beautiful day. All right, see you later. It wasn't that much of an exchange, but in the long run, it's gonna help you get more comfortable with talking to people, because that's like something that's real tough right now. It's like, especially with all the COVID and everybody's like kind of keeping to themselves. Um, Definitely don't be afraid to talk to people. Also, like social media is a huge help, huge tool. I have a page I follow on Facebook of my specific area I live in, and I don't always promote the business, but I do always talk about it. Like, I ran or I listened to one episode where you guys were talking about when you're like door to door, and this person says like, oh, I'm not gonna buy from you. You have to ask them like, what does your company do that I can do? What does your company do so great that you're not willing to leave them? And that was actually a question I asked in the group, in the group on Facebook. I just, like from a personal standpoint, what for you guys to have pest control, what do you guys do? Like what does your pest company do for you that I can put into my company, and that alone got me like 4 extra customers. So it's not always about telling them what you do, it's always about like finding out what they need.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and that's a big, yeah, I'll add on to that. That's a huge secret that it's not really a secret, right? I mean, we're pest control. What you do, I can do. What I can do, you can do, right? I mean, we're not much different. Now, the consistency level is going to change a lot, right? What I do consistently is something that you may not be able to do. Not saying that you can't do it. Most people just are lazy and don't want to do it. So asking those customers, hey, what do you need? And then fulfilling that need is huge. I mean, that's what we did here. That's why we split some services up. We made some low-end services, mid and high-end services to create more of, hey, you have options. It's not just pest control anymore. You actually can choose what you want. Because that was a big need for a lot of people here. They didn't want just this. They wanted less, or they wanted more. And so we adjusted that to them. But that's good. That's really good for anyone out there who's starting something. Ask the people, what do they want? You become a fanatic with the people, not your product, not what you're doing, but what the people need and want. And you're going to have them for life.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, I'm sorry that I might interrupt here, but another thing is that I'm also on this other Facebook group for pest control guys, and people always ask questions there and stuff like that, and you get these guys that are quote unquote bums, right? People ask like, hey, my client's asking this and that, what should I do? And these bums are like, hey man, don't bend over backwards for these people. You can't be doing that, because if you do that, you're gonna have to do it for everybody. But I'm like, how are you not gonna do it? Like, they're your client. If they find somebody else, if they find me and I'm definitely gonna do it, they're gonna pay me to do it, and they're gonna drop you. Yep. So definitely like do as much as you can, because at the end of the day, they are keeping you in business,
Yeah. No, absolutely. That is a huge thing. That's good. What else would you give them, or what else would you tell someone who's saying, hey, I'm starting my company. What do I need to know? Especially when you get to year and a half, starting to look for another guy. What would you tell them?
That it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. You're going to have a lot of cockroach jobs, a lot before it gets sweet. Before it gets sweet and you're just doing general pest control, you're going to get dirty. You're going to be doing a lot of rats, a lot of cockroaches, a lot of bed bugs. And that's just the way it is. You're going to get your hands dirty before it gets easy. But if you stick it out, at the end of the day, we're all going to be making money.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Aaron, you got any questions?
I do, actually. Daniel and I have been, growth has been obviously a huge factor in all the episodes we've dropped this year. We've kind of made a lot of pretty specific goals for each quarter. And you got a lot of exciting stuff too with getting the truck, bringing on somebody new. But I'm curious, for this year, what are some of the main goals or main milestones you want to hit? What does that look like? Because some people it's just revenue, some coming in. Sometimes it's acquiring more like, apartment complexes or businesses, or it's just getting bigger on the map geographically. I mean, what does that look like for you this year?
Yeah, definitely getting bigger on the map. I want to expand my service areas up north, down south. I want to, I'm not really going into the city of Chicago right now because it's just a whole nother show out there, but definitely expand to like more commercial as well. Right now, we do mainly residential stuff, which is fine, but I do want to expand into commercial as well, and definitely get another truck by the end of the year. Hopefully by August, we're looking into buying another truck here, and I'm not sure if we'll bring someone in at that point or if we might have to wait until the next season comes up, but definitely have another truck up and ready for the next tech to come in. At least 200 more clients this year.
That's awesome. Good for you, man.
Love that. Love
yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you'd ask us or you want to ask us before we come to a close?
If you guys can give me any advice, I mean, I get all my customers done relatively early, like around 2, and then right after I'm out knocking doors. We got a couple of lead pages, like we're on Thumbtack. We were on Yelp for a bit. I'm not sure if we're gonna do that again, but they are a little expensive.
Don't do it.
So if you guys can give me any tips, I'd appreciate them for sure.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Aaron? Do you have any tips for him?
I really liked what you were saying about a lot of people just don't even start, and that's the problem, right? I like the analogy you gave about practicing having conversations with complete strangers to get you more comfortable to do it. I think based on what you told me, you're already doing those things, and you obviously understand what it takes to grow, which is going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot for, the foreseeable future. But, something Daniel and I talk about a lot is I don't really believe in luck. It's preparation meets opportunity. And if you start and stay consistent, it's pretty hard to fail as long as you're consistent. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. The other thing I would say to work, I guess, smarter, not harder. Knocking doors is hard. It can bring a lot into the company, but it's a lot of time, a lot of hours. Asking every customer, because you're the owner. So ask every customer, hey, do you have any family, friends? Ask for referrals if you're not already doing that. If you are, awesome. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way for organic growth, and it doesn't take much. The other thing is do not have them tell their friends to call you. You get the information. You call the friend. You call the family member. Don't ever do that. You're out in a store, whatever, and they're like, oh, hey, you're pest control. They start asking you questions. They say, hey, give me your number. I'll call you. Don't. You can still give them your number. Ask them for their number. Because they're,
for sure,
that sells. I mean, that's really the big, thing with sales is you have to get their information and call them. So asking for referrals, if you have commercial properties, that's perfect. You can do a commercial deal if it's a higher end commercial. So let's say like a dealership. A dealership has a lot of people with probably homes. They're probably homeowners, right? The manager, the GM, everybody has their own home. So not only are you doing the dealership, but then you can go and say, hey, look, I'll do a 10% discount for anybody who jumps on, and start offering that to the employees. And so then you're starting to pull on all the employees. Plus you're already doing the warehouse or the dealership or whatever it is. So you can start off that way to, bring on a lot of customers. The big thing is that, right? Using your customers to expand that, having them talk about you, right? Next door is another big one. That's neighborhoods, things like that, Facebook pages. If people are talking about you, it's better than you talking about yourself.
Absolutely.
So you will get some people to jump over, but I would do that. The other thing that we did is door tags. So just like when you're done servicing a house, at least here in California, we leave a door tag, but then we also have another door tag that says, hey, we just serviced your neighbor. So then I go and tag all the doors around it because they're going to see you every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, and they get tagged every 2 months, every 3 months, every month, right? So eventually they're going to say, hey, I'm going to jump on with this guy because he's been doing so-and-so's house for, I don't know, years. For them, every time they get a door tag, it feels like a year, right? So you go and hand, you put one on their door and they constantly see that. Soon you're not, you're a familiar face. They're going to come out and ask you a question, whatever it may be, or even knock the next door neighbor's doors while you're teching. That was a big one that we used when we were doing door to door. It was like, hey, there's a tech here. He's servicing the house. I just signed up. I'm going to go knock all the neighbors around him because it's like, oh, hey, can you see my truck right there? Yeah, I just got done servicing your neighbor, or we're servicing your neighbor right now. And so then it starts to build that, oh, holy crap, they're real. It's a real person. They're right here. They're right, So that's some advice I would give you to grow quickly and organically without killing yourself. One last tip I would give you is if you're getting your days done that quickly, because I've thought about this, if I had to start fresh, I'm always going through different scenarios in my head, worst case, best case, but I would pack a day with 20 accounts, 24 accounts, and just kill them all, right? Just get them out of the way. And then the next day I can focus on sales. I'm going to restaurants. I'm going to gas stations. I'm going to apartment complexes. I'm going anywhere I can. I'm just spending a full day just sales. Next day, all residential again, or my regular stops, and then sales again. So if I can condense those into a couple of days and then spend 3-4 days selling, that's perfect. Because then you'll also have the habit of, I know what I'm going to do with 8 hours when I have no stops. Most guys don't know that. They know, I know how to work. I know how to spray a house. I don't know how to go and spend 8 hours selling. That's hard. That's tough. That's uncomfortable. So if you're getting out of that habit, you're in the habit of spraying and then spending only 2-3 hours to go and like knock doors or to sell, you start pulling yourself out of that, where when you do hire someone, what are you going to do with your time? Because the whole idea of hiring someone isn't to go babysit them. I mean, we're going through it. The idea is you hire someone, they're going out and they're doing the work. You can go sell and create more jobs. That's the whole idea, until you can hire a salesman. Then you'll hire a salesman that's going to go out and create more jobs. And then you can work on the business, not in the business. Right now you're employed, right? And growing at the same time. You're trying to get to the point where it's, hey, how can we grow and keep growing? And I'm thinking about the strategic side of things, right? That's what we're doing with Aaron. We're pulling Aaron as much out of a vehicle as we can right now because we have guys that can go out and do that stuff. But we got to train them. We got to go through that process so then we can start pulling him further back and further back and further back so that we're working on the business, not in the business. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Sorry, that was a lot to just throw on you, but it's recorded so you can go back and listen.
That was good info.
Yeah, for sure. Info. I just wanted to add one more thing too. For anybody that wants to start from scratch, it's definitely not sweet. No. My friends, when I first told them that I was going to start this business, they're like, oh man, that's cool. That's nice. And now that they see me working, they're like, oh man, must be nice. It's not nice. It's not nice. And it wasn't nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just be ready for that. It's going to be tough, but, just stick it out. You're going to be all right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on, sharing your stories, giving your input, especially out there, and talking about starting the company. I know it's a lot of valuable information that a lot of technicians need and they need to hear. So thank you so much for coming on.
For sure, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it and looking forward to more episodes.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. So there we have it from Cristian. Thank you so much again for coming on. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a good time. Yeah, cool guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like what he's doing too.
Oh yeah. No, it is tough. I mean, he did, and I'm glad that he did say that. It's not easy, guys. It's not what you think it is. Starting it is tough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. I mean, just you. I mean, you could throw in your opinion now. We're not starting from scratch. You didn't come in from scratch. You came in with already 2 companies involved and growing.
Pretty established from my point of view when I first came here.
And how much work are we still putting into it?
A lot. Like we're starting from scratch.
So
honestly.
Yeah. So that there are benefits of it. We do have guys that can hold it down.
Yeah.
You do have that freedom sometimes. We can do certain things. We can go to Pest World. We can do all those things, which is awesome.
It is.
But when we're here, we're dedicated. It's not 8 hours. It's 24 hours. It doesn't go away. It is tough, but it's awesome when you do start getting into it. So Cristian, good luck out there, man.
Yes.
Keep pushing hard. It's going to stay hard. It's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder probably, especially as you start to hire on people. Your stress level is going to go through the roof. So get ready for that.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man.
First ever recording for DNA Pest Control Podcast. So we have a lot of exciting stuff. This is something we've been working on for quite some time now. So we're really excited we're rolling this out. And thank you for everybody who does listen to the podcasts and messages in and has been listening, or if you're just now starting to get into it, it does mean so much for our growth. So if you do like the content we put out, please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We have 2 posts a week that come out Monday and Thursday. We also have our Instagram that'll talk about those posts, and we have our website where you can directly send in questions for a Q&A, be a guest, and just meet the team. So thank you again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.